What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest cybersecurity news, tips, and vulnerabilities that are out there, as well as we highlight people of color who are moving, shaking, and glass ceiling breaking in cybersecurity and IT. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes
What up? What up?
and LeVon Maynard.
What's that?
What is the deal? So, got a good episode for you. With that being said, I hand it over to LeVon.
Yes, sir. So now we have here an article from The Hill, and this is from Maggie Miller. Good old Maggie Miller. She has an article saying the key House leader is pressing for inclusion of cybersecurity in the infrastructure bill. So you may or may not have heard the latest White House administration. President Joe Biden, his administration has decided to do a new infrastructure package that's worth $2.25 trillion. And with that $2.25 trillion, I believe my memory serves me correct. I think it includes a lot of obviously infrastructure for roads, bridges, trains, electric grid. It has things for even broadband, for getting broadband to rural areas. A lot of people don't realize that. I think man, I can't remember the statistic, but there's a lot of people that don't have broadband, a lot more than you expect, that don't have access to broadband, which I think is actually a pretty important thing in this day of a digital age.
I want to say it was like 30%. It was
yeah.
30%.
It's probably just the middle of the country, right?
Yeah.
Like a whole middle.
Yeah, pretty much like the middle of the country. Any place that doesn't have a city, a big city is you don't have any broadband out there. But essentially, was it Representative Yvette Clark, the chair of the Key Cyber House panel? She wants to introduce cybersecurity measures in this infrastructure bill as well, to include everything else. It looks like, according to this article, there was a $500 million grant to fund state and local government to help against malicious hackers that was passed by the House, but it has not gotten a vote yet in the Senate. But essentially, long story short, she wants to use this bill to kind of upgrade our cybersecurity awareness and infrastructure within the country, which I think is very important, obviously, for many, all the reasons that we've told you guys in prior episodes. Cybersecurity is often the last thing that gets looked at, and making this a part of the infrastructure bill, something that's already a big deal, that's going to cause, to make they say it's potential of have millions of American jobs being produced from this infrastructure bill. Imagine that we can use some of this money towards hiring, educated or educating cybersecurity, workers, get them in the field and get the infrastructure in place so that we can secure our infrastructure. Because every day you hear about the hacks from other countries, from inside our own country. People getting into devices, getting into databases. I think they heard some more about Facebook and some other companies getting hacked. And there's only so much you can do, to protect your data, but we want to do everything that we possibly can to make sure that we put everything in place, especially when it comes to our electric grid and things like that. I mean, imagine if somebody hacked our electric system, electric infrastructure, and all of a sudden we lost power for weeks or months or something like that. And, we saw what happened in Texas when they had a big power outage, and pipes were freezing in people's houses and things like that. Imagine if they some hacker out there was strategic enough to cause some power outage somewhere that was important, that they needed some power out, especially in hospitals, things like that. But nonetheless, Yvette Clark is working to get this infrastructure, get this money included in the infrastructure bill to focus on cybersecurity. And so hopefully, people like us on this call and people that are listening that can maybe be able to take advantage of this and secure some cybersecurity related jobs and support the infrastructure. But what you guys think about this? You guys have any thoughts?
So I'm pretty excited about it, actually. So for two reasons. One, I didn't know that the Cyber House panel, I'm trying to get her title correct. She is the chair of the Cyber House panel. Is that right? No, that's not right. I gotta put
That's
some
what it says.
respect on her title. She is the
Right.
chair of the House Homeland Security Committee Cybersecurity Committee. There it is. That's a very long title. But
Right.
number one, woman of color in charge of that. I'm pretty stoked about it. But thing number two, this is a person who is probably a generation Xer or above. This is not a 20-year-old person who knows something about cybersecurity. Like that gives me hope. Like people are paying attention now. I'm pretty pumped about that. Like things are starting to turn around. People are paying attention. People are starting to, like, we already got $500 million in the last COVID stimulus. Now we're getting another $500 million in grants and subsidies and in this infrastructure plan. But it is $3 trillion, which is not really, that's not real money. So you like, give me a little bit more. Give me a Billy. Am I being greedy? Give me $1 billion. All right. Because we talk about it in PMP. We talk about it in software design lifecycle. So SDLC. We talk about it in the CISP, CBK all the time. Like, you have to bake in security. You can't tack it on. So I'm extremely excited that over, what is it, maybe 4 months, if this passes, within 6 months of the new presidency, we will have spent $1 billion on cybersecurity. I'm gonna need you to do another $1 billion before we're done. I
like that.
I need you to keep investing, because like we just talked about in a previous episode, they're getting smarter. Like people, like, it seems as though offensive cyber is moving at light speed over defensive cyber. So you got to put the money in there, because people are hacking for free, and their reward is 1 million Facebook accounts, which they can sell for later, or credit cards or what have you. Like they can make money off of the things they steal. So we have to invest more in defense. So I'm excited. I'm glad that this is happening, but I'm greedy. I need you to keep this going. I need to see you drop some money in all these bills for cyber. But that's my 2 cents.
So Ryan, it's a little bit different when politics are involved, right? Like, it's one of those things,
right?
Where they want to count every red cent all of a sudden, depending on who's in power, right? And we're not going to get into that. We're not going to go into the thing, but it's one of those things where I can't remember if it was this bill or the last one where the job training was one of the things that was requested in there as well, right? So this is a perfect example of this all rolling up together, right? You start getting more training out there, because if we're being honest about it, there are some things in this country that we used to do that just are not coming back when it comes to manufacturing, mining, things of that nature, right? Like, we're just not going to get it back. So let's start teaching people new skills, right? We've gone on to show that it can be done, right? We're talking a while ago now, we had the episode where we talked about the guy that was helping the prisoners with the programming, right? Remember we brought that one up?
Oh yeah.
Right? Well, these are people that are going to try to do something productive in society, right? And when you think of prisoners, people are like, oh, they've had their chances, that and the third. No, give them another chance to be productive and see what they can do, right? And it's a successful program. So if they can do it, my point is, if we're going to do job training for other people out there in cybersecurity, right, especially if they're going to be spending $1 billion at a time, right, trying to make it happen, or $500 million at a time, right, 500 million here, 500 million here,
right?
Doing that, like, let's put the effort into getting people that can handle these things as well, because we've already seen it with the water plants, right, where they were getting hacked, right? Cybersecurity needed to be something that was I don't want to say baked in, because it may have been there when they started, but with that one,
at least enforced.
Yes, enforced. There you go. Perfect way to say it. Enforcement of the cybersecurity rules, right? Because I mean, you got an old operating system that was no longer supported. Like, somebody should have been there to say, hey, we can't keep using this. You know what I mean? Somebody should have been pounding on the table with that. So yeah, the fact that they're putting this money in there, great thing. You know what I mean? Because and it, I want to say it's surprising, but it kind of isn't, that it still wasn't thought about when it came to infrastructure, right? Like, we're going to talk infrastructure. We're going to talk about, doing new rails. Like, one of the things we want to try to do is we want to try to copy, Europe and Japan when it comes to these high-speed rails and whatnot, right? Like, a lot of that stuff is automated and electronic, right?
Yeah.
But we see what people are doing out there. Like, this should have been something that was talked about right up front. Hey, we need cybersecurity, because if we're going to get a high-speed rail to go from, I'm just making this up, New York to LA or whatever, right? Like, if we're going to do that, and it's going to be all automated and it's going to be great. It's going to get you there in 2 hours, whatever. I know it's an exaggeration. I get it. But cybersecurity definitely needs, it would be nice. It'd be like the Concorde of trains, right? You would need cybersecurity talked about more than what it is right now. Like, it seems like she's begging for it after the fact, after the budget already went forward. You know what I'm saying? They're like, okay, we're going to spend 2.3 trillion, 2.25 trillion.
Right.
And this is, and now she has to come back and say, well, hold up. Can we get some cybersecurity, money in there to make all this stuff, work the way it should,
Right.
Like I said, it's one of those things where it's like, man, I'm hoping we're learning, you know what I mean? Because I can imagine these administrations, no matter who's in office, they have so many resources available to them to know, like, stuff that we're even talking about here. I mean, you can watch the show if you want, administration, you know what I'm saying? But I know you get news just like we do, right? Like, you got people that are going out there that are seeing these plants in Florida that are getting hacked, you know what I mean? So it shouldn't be something that's new. And the power grid, like you guys had brought up before, like the power grid is one that's, you definitely don't want to be messing with that one, right? It's just one of those things where and what you mentioned, LeVon, about what happened in Texas, that was because it was too cold, right? So don't think that when the summertime comes, it can't be that you start losing stuff when it gets too hot, because that's a problem too. Right?
That's true.
If you don't have AC or you're not cooling something properly and it gets too hot, I mean, people, you got states that are losing transformers because of that. You know what I mean? Like, power is going down. You got your brownouts, your blackouts because it got too hot. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, you can't just sit here and say, hey, because it got so cold in Texas and they didn't think it was going to happen, that's the only time it's going to happen is in the winter. No, that's not the case. It gets hot in Texas too. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, this is very much needed. This is very much needed, and I'm glad that somebody is stepping out there and saying, hey, let's make this a priority. I don't know how long this office has been up. That long name you gave, Ryan, I don't know if it's been there all along or if it's something.
Yeah, it doesn't specify.
Yeah, but neither here nor there. They're here now, and she's trying to make something happen, which is a good thing. I always love to see stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. And you're starting to see a lot more of it. So some of these offices already did exist. They did speak up when we had the SolarWinds attacks and things of that nature. It just wasn't a priority at the time. So things are starting to swing because money's being spent. So why not try to put it to the forefront, which they are, that's what's so surprising to me, which I'm really, really liking right now. Like, because once there's a precedent for it, no matter who is in charge and what their priorities are, like, well, if 500 million was the minimum that we've been spending, then we can throw another 500 million in there, because tools will continue to change, training will continue to change, hackers will get faster and quicker. But I like your idea. I never thought about that, like a trade or vocational school for cybersecurity, because it's one of the only trades that is technical enough where it has a pretty big degree pipeline, but the majority of people have practical experience and certifications from their practical experience. So I think it could work that way, because you don't need that many CISPs. But if you would like to make more CISPs with this money, you could do that as well. But you need more people who are on the technician administration side anyway. So like maybe they do open up the pipeline to make that happen. Like that would be pretty cool, because you need people who know plumbing, carpeting, engineering in general, from all different levels up through STEM. Why not add cybersecurity as a track as well? Because you're going to need people to defend the network. So that could be something that pops up in the future. Kids will have sign-in days where they go, learn to be a CCNA or was it MSSA? I forget what it is.
MCSE.
MCSE. There you go. Yeah. Like you can go that track as well. Like that would be pretty cool to see kids coming straight out of school to do that, because everyone doesn't need a degree or a CISP to be in cybersecurity. Like it's the exact opposite, actually. So
I just want to make it known. I'm calling it right now. If we don't have good cybersecurity, this will be how Skynet takes over. I'm just saying.
It's gonna take over anyway.
You let the machines police the machines. This will be what happens, right? They'll figure it out.
That's the truth.
It's only a matter of time. All right. But no, I thought this was a good one. It was a good episode. They're all good. All right.
Yeah, they're always good. Yeah.
they're all good. But I thought this was a good conversation. There's some more to this I'm holding back because we're going to have a discussion just in general about the pandemic and the ramifications. So I don't want to talk too much about that. But this leads really well into that one. So tune in. See, I put a hook in this one.
Oh man, I can't
With that
wait.
being said, got to keep coming back.
Keep coming back.
Well,
Stay tuned.
with that being said, please shoot us a message or a note, or just follow our show. You can find everything at the websites www.theothersideofthefirewall.com. That leads you to our Twitter, which is @on_firewall. The Facebook, which is the other side of the firewall. Instagram is the other side of the FW. And as well as we have our own personal accounts. So you can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, IG, and TikTok as RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. And LeVon?
Hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. So definitely shoot us a message. So with that being said, y'all take care.
Take care, everyone.